The year is 2005. Doctor Who makes its comeback, your crush just put you in their top friends on MySpace, and Bullet for My Valentine have just burst onto the scene with their first album, The Poison. Fast forward 2 decades later, and they're about to embark on the first leg of the Poisoned Ascendancy tour, a massive global co-headline tour with Trivium, celebrating the 20th anniversary of both The Poison and Trivium's Ascendancy by playing both albums in full. But what is it about the Welsh outfit's debut album that has fans so excited for a throwback? On the 3rd of October 2005, Bullet for My Valentine released their first full-length recording, The Poison, through Visible Noise Records in the UK. However, it didn't release in the US until a few months later on the 14th of February 2006, conveniently Valentine's Day. But by the time the album was released, some of the songs included on it had already become known in their local scene. Before the band existed in its current form, guitarist and vocalist Matt Tuck, lead guitarist Michael Padge Paget, bassist Nick Crandall, and drummer Michael Moose Thomas had been part of another band in college called Jeff Killed John, which existed from 1998 to 2003. Some of the songs written during this time would go on to influence songs on The Poison, such as Routine Unhappiness being a musical template for what would become their biggest hit, Tears Don't Fall, and lyrical inspiration for the song 10 Years Today. Nothing was directly carried over for the album itself, except for a demo version of All These Things I Hate Revolve Around Me. After the departure of bassist Nick Crandall, who they replaced with Jason James, they changed their name to Bullet for My Valentine and got to work. They released their self-titled EP in November 2004, including songs such as Cries in Vain and Hand of Blood, which would go on to be featured on the album itself. This EP was re-released in the US through Trustkill Records in August 2005, just 2 months before the first official release of The Poison. This US re-release was renamed to Hand of Blood and now included the addition of 4 Words to Choke Upon, another song that would find its way onto the first official studio album. The actual track listing of The Poison is somewhat up for debate. Some versions include 13 tracks, with Hand of Blood being track 8, other versions include 13 tracks without Hand of Blood but with Spit You Out as track 12, and some versions which feature both songs, making it a 14-track album overall. The most commonly accepted of these amongst fans seems to be the 13-track Hand of Blood version. Then there's the Japanese edition with bonus live tracks, the UK Deluxe edition, UK Deluxe DVD edition, US Deluxe edition, and US Deluxe DVD edition, all of which contain unique tracks or clips and are all different from each other in some way. Then, in 2024, they released a 20th anniversary 3-disc box set consisting of 34 tracks including the original album, live versions, covers, acoustic versions of songs, and the remaining songs from the original EP. After the name change, and with hype around them growing quickly, they signed with Sony Records on a huge 5-album deal. However, Sony would bring Trustkill on board in the US to help continue to grow the band in the same way they had done with the likes of Throwdown, Bleeding Through, and Shai Hulud. Trustkill distributed thousands of sample compilation CDs featuring some of the label's biggest bands alongside the up-and-coming Bullet for My Valentine, exposing them to the loyal fanbases of bands like 18 Visions. Trustkill's Josh Grabell also financed the music video for Tears Don't Fall and oversaw the release of the Live at Brixton DVD before Sony took over entirely once the band had been established in the US. When the initial reviews came out, the consensus was mixed. Some reviewers praised the band's focus on guitar work, the heavy riffs and roaring solos, while also critiquing that the album leaned too closely to the tropes of the genre and their contemporaries such as Avenged Sevenfold, Atreyu, and Trivium. Alex Marriott of punknews.org gave it a 3 out of 10, saying, "Despite most of the album being at the same tempo and sounding identical, I can't knock them for Intro, with its cellos and nice melodic guitar work, or the acoustic intro of All These Things I Hate Revolve Around Me, which gives a nice respite from the drab. However, neither can save this. The Poison won't make your ears bleed, it won't make you sing along, urge you to get in the pit, or come back for another listen."
I've never been so wrong in all my life.
Blabbermouth also had a similar sentiment, saying, "Bullet for My Valentine is fairly good at what it does, and at least half of the songs are better than average. There is just something about the disc that feels contrived. In a genre that's been run into the ground, that can be problematic. The one certainty is that The Poison will go over a storm with the poor, huddled, Hot Topic masses." And that was really where the album found its success. Fans loved it. The energy of the songs made for intense live performances which resonated with metal crowds, and combined with easily accessible melodies and lyrics, they quickly cemented themselves as fan favourites. Just as metalcore had risen a few years earlier with the likes of Killswitch Engage leading that charge, the emergence of emo as a truly dominant subgenre was just beginning. The Poison found itself balanced on the precipice of both of these movements, taking inspiration from the metalcore that had come before, but with lyrical content and aesthetics that more fit with what emo was trying to achieve. The red and black imagery, the blood splatter, the white flowers and guns wrapped around the band's logo, it all fit much closer with other emo albums such as My Chemical Romance's 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, or The Used in Love and Death. Suddenly, emos had a metalcore sounding band that sang about emotional introspective topics such as heartbreak and loss with a violent, heavy undertone. This is seemingly why more traditional reviews favoured it less than audiences right away. They were hearing it as the metalcore it had been birthed from, as opposed to the bridge between the two subgenres it was trying to become. But because it took old tropes and pulled them in different directions, the Poison quickly became essential listening for anyone in the alternative scene in the mid-noughties. With huge anthemic choruses being stuck to crushing riffs and blistering solos, it's easy to see how all 4 singles, 4 Words to Choke Upon, Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow, All These Things I Hate, and Tears Don't Fall quickly became widespread crowd favourites. Tears Don't Fall and All These Things I Hate became lasting staples of rock radio stations and music video channels such as Kerrang TV and Scuzz, suddenly reaching a much wider audience than most of their metalcore contemporaries could dream of. Tears Don't Fall won Best Single at the Kerrang Awards in 2006, with Bullet themselves winning Best UK Band at the Metal Hammer Golden Gods of the same year. After winning Best British Newcomer at the Kerrang Awards before The Poison had even been released in 2005, the following year it was nominated for Best Album, but was beaten by Lost Prophet.
Oh no!
The band were also nominated for Best British Band, but were beaten by
Oh no! No, 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 no.
Bullet also found some cultural success, with tracks from the album being featured in different media around the time. Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow was included on the Saw 3 soundtrack in 2006, alongside Slayer, Lamb of God, Meshuggah, and more. 4 Words to Choke Upon was used on the official soundtracks for the video games NHL 06 and Madden 06, which is where a lot of North American fans would discover them from. But probably the biggest of these was Hand of Blood's inclusion on the soundtracks for Burnout Revenge and Need for Speed Most Wanted, which to this day is what I still see in my head when I listen to this song. The intro rises, the dueling guitars hype you up as you prepare yourself, and then... In the 2 decades since its release, The Poison has sold 3 million physical copies worldwide and was certified gold in both the UK and US. It has also hit nearly 800 million streams on Spotify alone, with Tears Don't Fall being solely responsible for almost half of that total. It has become far and away their biggest hit, now being an essential part of alternative playlists at rock clubs around the world, and was featured 35th on Metal Hammer's 100 Greatest Metal Songs of the 21st Century. On the 28th of January 2006, Bullet performed tracks from the album and the self-titled EP live at the Brixton Academy. This show was turned into a live CD/DVD, complete with music videos, documentary footage, and behind-the-scenes clips. Word of their ferocious live capabilities spread, and after their Download Festival debut in a tent in 2005, they were invited back the summer after the album's release to appear third from top of the main stage lineup, behind fellow Welshmen Funeral for a Friend and legends Guns N' Roses. They had leapfrogged bands like Alice in Chains, Avenged Sevenfold, and even established Trustkill label mates like 18 Visions to become one of the hottest names on the bill, despite their debut album not even being a year old. Many other artists in the genre cite The Poison as an important milestone for heavy music. Trivium frontman Matt Heafy celebrated its cultural impact, saying that The Poison is in the DNA of modern metal when speaking ahead of the upcoming Poisoned Ascendancy tour. And it's clear to see that DNA continuing to evolve through bands such as Spiritbox, Ice Nine Kills, and Bad Omens. Tears Don't Fall's legacy has been widely celebrated online, on YouTube and TikTok, usually being used as shorthand for nostalgia for the mid-noughties and the emo scene in general. This has all led to the song and the band itself being exposed to a new generation as your parents' favourite band. Despite being almost 20 years old, The Poison continues to be culturally relevant, boasting some of the most recognisable hits from the mid-noughties. There is a brand new generation of young fans discovering it as part of the larger resurgence of emo and metalcore, without the initial negative reviews muddying the current consensus. The aesthetics and sound of this album define its period in music history, and combined with the growing nostalgia amongst long-time fans, now is the perfect time for a celebration of this masterpiece, which is exactly what the Poisoned Ascendancy hopes to be. Hopefully they play this album start to finish in track order, but even if not, just getting to see some of these songs again live will be amazing. But what do you think of Bullet for My Valentine's The Poison? And if you're lucky enough to be heading to one of the shows, what songs are you most looking forward to seeing? We'll be in the pit at the Manchester show on the 30th of January, so we will see you there. We have a companion video to this about Trivium's Ascendancy available now on our Patreon. We've also got a Discord where you can come and chat with us and our subscribers about all sorts of random stuff, and you can come follow us on all the socials to keep up with what we're doing, the links for which are in the description down below. This has been a different kind of video for us, so let us know what you thought and if you'd like to see any more of this kind of stuff in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Toodles!